news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The Washington Post is reporting that U.S. President Donald Trump has declined to approve a large military aid package for Taiwan. It comes just hours before a planned phone call between him and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Our reporter Cadence Carranza has been following this story and joins us live from our Taipei office. Cadence, what do we know about this package and Trump's decision?
The Washington Post, citing people familiar with the matter, reported that this aid package was supposed to include more than $400 million in aid on security to Taiwan, including things like munitions and autonomous drones. But that, as you said, U.S. President Donald Trump declined to approve it. It's worth noting that the White House said in a statement that this decision has not been finalized and could still change. We don't know for sure why this is, but it does come as the U.S. is in the middle of negotiating deals with China on TikTok and trade, as well as a potential meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Trump in the fall. Trump and Xi are also expected to have a phone call on Friday to discuss some of these issues. More broadly, this isn't the first time that we've seen reports of the Trump administration appear to undercut relations with Taiwan during these trade negotiations with China. In July, the Trump administration reportedly blocked Taiwan President Lai Ching-te from making stopovers in the U.S. on his way to visit Central American allies over objections from China. And in June, the Trump administration also reportedly canceled a meeting with Taiwan's defense minister that was supposed to happen in the U.S. So far, Taiwan's government hasn't responded to this latest report. We've reached out to the Foreign Ministry, the Defense Ministry, the Presidential Office, and we haven't received a response. The U.S.'s de facto embassy in Taiwan, the American Institute in Taiwan, also didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. But it's safe to say that this isn't good news for Taiwan because it's continuously facing threats from China, which claims it as its territory and has threatened to take it by force if necessary.
Okay, Cadence. And in terms of the military aid package, are packages like this unusual? The U.S. is a big backer for Taiwan's security, even though the Taiwan and the U.S. don't have formal diplomatic relations. Trump's predecessor, the Biden administration, actually approved several large aid packages to Taiwan. So this isn't unusual. But the Trump administration has made it clear that it prefers that Taiwan and other countries pay for the weapons that it provides to them. And it has repeatedly urged Taiwan to raise its defense spending, which Taiwan says it will do next year. The Trump administration has also been broadly less clear on its position on Taiwan and its security, sparking some concerns over its support for Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. And we don't know if this particular event signals a shift in the U.S.'s overall policies towards Taiwan. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. Thank you, Cadence. That was Cadence Carranza joining us live from Taipei. U.S. chip designer Nvidia is teaming up with U.S. chipmaker Intel. The deal will see $5 billion in new investment for Intel, as well as new products for PCs. But some have raised concerns about what it could mean for other Nvidia partners like Taiwan's TSMC. Chris Gorin reports.
A surprise deal among former rivals. U.S. chip giants Nvidia and Intel have announced a partnership. Nvidia will invest $5 billion into Intel. And the pair are working on new products for PCs and data centers. But the deal does not include any foundry agreements for manufacturing Nvidia chips in Intel's chip factories.
A lot of folks were expecting to see more like foundry deals, because I mean, the big push has really been around manufacturing. And this is not a foundry deal. This is a product deal, which I think for Intel is fine because frankly, their product business needs a lot of help too.
The new products include a system-on-chip for consumer PCs, combining Intel's CPUs with Nvidia's GPUs. Nvidia will also buy Intel CPUs for use in its data center rack systems. Investors were excited, with Intel stock ending up more than 22% on Thursday. Nvidia was also up nearly 3.5%. It's a big boost for Intel, which has struggled for years, but recently drew in lots of fresh money. That includes a stake from the U.S. government, which is pushing to expand high-tech manufacturing at home. Between the investments from Washington, Japanese conglomerate SoftBank, and now Nvidia, Intel has seen about $16 billion in new investments in just the last month. But it also raises questions about Nvidia's other partners, like Intel foundry rival TSMC, Taiwan's largest company. Both Intel and Nvidia are TSMC customers, and Nvidia is one of its largest. But the CEOs of both Intel and Nvidia publicly praised TSMC and stressed there is no foundry agreement in this partnership.
If I'm TSMC investors, I think I shouldn't be worried too much on this. The broader trend is more sort of I will pay close attention to its U.S. determination in pursuing U.S. semiconductor supply chain or advanced semiconductor manufacturing. I think on that front, it's very clear, and I think it's actually realized by many investors and people in the market.
And despite the extra investment and U.S. government backing, Intel may still face challenges.
US-based semiconductor manufacturing and design is important. And there are very few companies that can do leading edge manufacturing. And of the three, even in theory, Intel's the only one that's US-based. Now, in terms of making them successful, the money doesn't really do that, right? Intel has to do that on their own. I think the jury is still out on that.
The deal is a major one, but its impacts on the overall chip industry may not be seen for some time to come. Ethan Pan and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. and China are closing in on a deal to transfer TikTok to a U.S. owner. The popular social media app has raised national security concerns in Washington and in Taipei. TikTok, one of the most popular apps in the world, has been at the center of tensions between the U.S. and China. The Chinese-owned app has 170 million users in the U.S., casting huge influence via screens everywhere. Estimates show that in Taiwan, over a third of the population uses it, and that figure is highest in younger age groups. It's an impressive reach with dangerous implications. According to one study of young TikTok users in Taiwan, the Chinese-owned app pushes China-friendly political content, sometimes even stirring public distrust in Taiwanese politicians. That messaging influences Taiwanese people's opinions of their government, political parties, and even their views on China.
I think one of the key points that TikTok often wanted to, or what we call the information manipulation, trying to deliver through TikTok to Taiwanese society is to emphasize the image that even though being unified, they will have no significant change for normal citizen. And the results actually surprised us as well, because it did making people become more pro-China, become more have a positive image about PRC's governance, and also making people have more skepticism ideas to Taiwanese citizens and Taiwanese governance.
In January, TikTok temporarily went dark in the U.S. when its Chinese parent company ByteDance couldn't meet a deadline to divest from the U.S. headquartered app. The U.S. government's demands were met with resistance from users, with hundreds of thousands of them migrating in protest to RedNote, the foreign edition of another Chinese app, Xiaohongshu. In Taiwan, TikTok is only banned from government-issued devices, those used by public servants who could have access to sensitive information. Lawmakers are still trying to figure out how to regulate the app, which doesn't officially have business operations in Taiwan.
TikTok 在台湾落地，最主要的问题是演算法不透明，资料库在境外，内容审核在境外，无论官方还是民意代表都难以及时监管。
But ordinary users in Taiwan seemed unconcerned about a potential ban of the app.
我觉得应该还会有其他类似的网站会出现，所以对我来说可能还好。
Others think it could be used as a platform to promote Taiwanese people's ideas instead of China's.
如果政府它不开放抖音，是怕被我们各国的声量来影响到我们台湾的想法的话，那我觉得它可以开放。然后，因为我们台湾的网友其实都蛮有创意的，所以现在要是开放一阵子，然后让台湾的人可以更容易了解到抖音，更容易接触到抖音，去搞不好上面的内容，台湾人创作的内容并不会比各国所创作的内容还要少。
And lawmakers agree that an outright ban is out of the question, but they say it's tricky, from balancing national security to protecting citizens' freedom and overall online safety.
我想用这样的一个方式，去用禁止的思维，我觉得还不如去思考我们如何创造我们属于中华民国台湾自己在社群服务上的竞争力。否则，只不过看到东西就不准使用，或者用禁止的方式，我想我们整体的社会智商，还有我们人民的资讯自由度，反而会受到影响。
完全的以禁止的方式来处理的话呢，不但是没有去符合比例原则，也就等于是没有去考虑刚刚讲的在不同的层次我们面临的问题应该要用怎么样的一个法律手段。所以我认为呢，依照我们现行的法律以及之后不管是美国那边的这一个采购的进行还有呢台湾这边呢还有新的自动安全管理法的规范，用这样的一个方式来管制这个所谓的这一个会对儿童有害的或者有诈欺的，甚至涉及国安的呢，这样才是一个比较妥适的方案。
With the U.S. making moves to wrestle control of TikTok and its data and keep it out of China's hands, the app may once again be at the center of national security discussions in Taiwan, too, as the debate between internet freedoms and digital safety continues. Scott Wong and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus. U.S. President Donald Trump has wrapped up a second state visit to the U.K. During his trip, he and U.K. Prime Minister Keir Starmer signed a multi-billion-dollar tech investment agreement. John Van Trieste has this report.
U.S. President Donald Trump prepares to step back onto U.S. soil after a state visit to the U.K. This, his second state visit to the U.K., could add new energy to an old alliance amid differences on foreign policy and U.S. tariffs on British steel. In the presence of U.S. and U.K. business leaders, Trump and U.K. Prime Minister Keir Starmer have signed a deal that will spur $205 billion in U.S. tech investment into the U.K. And that's just part of a bigger string of deals worth £250 billion, or roughly $340 billion. There's nuclear energy, there's quantum computing, and then there's AI.
So we're taking the next logical step with a historic agreement on science and technology partnerships, and this will create new government, academic, and private sector cooperation in areas such as AI, which is taking over the world.
Starmer and other British officials are looking at the deal with optimism.
And just look at what we're achieving today together. The deals and investment that you're announcing today break all records. What a day. £250 billion flowing both ways across the Atlantic. It is the biggest investment package of its kind in British history by a country mile.
But there was other business to attend to amid the mutual congratulations. During the pomp-filled visit, the two leaders talked energy, migration, Ukraine, Gaza, and U.S. tariffs. And Trump also had an announcement to make about U.S.-China ties, specifically the tussle over TikTok. Trump's administration had threatened to ban the app unless its Chinese owner ByteDance sells to a U.S. owner.
So what we're doing, and we're speaking to President Xi on Friday to see if we can finalize something on TikTok, because there is tremendous value, and I hate to give away value, but I like TikTok. It helped get me elected.
Despite protests in London against Trump's visit, officially at least, ties between the U.S. and U.K. seem to be warming, even in the era of America First. Klein Wong and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Politicians in the U.S. and Canada are pushing for Taiwan's inclusion in the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, before the group meets in Montreal next week. Due to pressure from China, Taiwan is regularly excluded from the aviation group's meetings, which occur once every 3 years. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz and Canadian MPs Michael Cooper and Judy Sugrow say it's time to push for Taiwan's inclusion. Although Taiwan hasn't been invited to this year's meeting, it will send a so-called ICAO action team to lobby Taiwan's case to other delegations and rally support for its participation. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with images from the Vatican, where a Taiwanese artist is exhibiting artworks that blend Taiwan's traditional culture with Catholic faith. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.